Hello, Pleasant Hill family and friends. I wanted to give you an update today on when and how we are going to start returning to in person worship. I'm very excited to talk to you about this. There will be some limitations, and we're going to have to be patient, but we are going to be able to get together soon on June the 14th. That's the first day we're going to try this. So I want you to know we've been in consultation with our church leadership, our United Methodist South Carolina Conference leadership, as well as following state and federal regulations about the COVID-19. So we're trying to be as prepared with this as possible. And we understand that many in our church are on different pages in terms of when is best for them personally to return to in-person worship. Some are raring to go and are ready for this quarantine to be over, and others still need some more time. And we understand both ways. And thanks to modern technology, either is fine. You can stay connected with us online or in person. So please keep that in mind. And we do want to emphasize that your safety is foremost in our hearts and minds. But it is important to note that for the foreseeable future, worship and activities at church will be different than what we've been used to, mainly because of the physical distancing requirements. We're going to continue to stream our worship services and Sunday school lessons on Facebook Live and post them to our YouTube channel each week. And please know that every church is unique in its context and in its system of leadership. Churches are going to vary in their decision making and timing about how and when to return to worship and other activities. So our church and staff and church leaders are working together to make the best decisions possible through this difficult time. We do want to emphasize that if you are running a fever or if you're showing any symptoms of any sickness, please stay home and wait to return. Um, there have been individuals that have been named as higher risk individuals. Those persons age 65 or older are considered higher risk for contracting the virus. And persons with serious underlying medical conditions such as asthma, chronic lung disease, diabetes, heart conditions, chronic kidney disease, HIV, liver disease, are those who are immunocompromised. You know, you're also at a higher risk for developing more serious complications from COVID-19. So please be very careful upon deciding on when to return to in-person worship. And so our Council on Ministries has been meeting, and on Sunday we decided that our in-person worship schedule beginning June the 14th will be at 10 a.m. in the Fellowship Hall. And we picked the Fellowship Hall for a number of reasons. Some of those reasons are the Fellowship Hall is on the ground level, so we won't have to make use of stairs or the elevator. There are fewer rooms in the Fellowship Hall building, and so we can close rooms off and sort of keep people where we want them to be. There would be less to clean and disinfect after worship services. We can use the screen instead of bulletins, Bibles, and hymnals. We do believe it'll be easier to maintain physical distancing guidelines in the fellowship hall with the movable chairs while accommodating more people than we could in the sanctuary. And we're going to start the first service on the 14th at 10 a.m. But if we need to add a second service at a later date to accommodate more people, we certainly will. But please know, once we do return to in-person worship on June the 14th, there will be limitations for a while. And I do want you to consider these limitations as ways to love your neighbor. We are called by God to take care of one another, and these limitations are in place to help us do that. And please keep in mind that most of these limitations are temporary. As my mom used to tell me, this too shall pass. You know, it may not go back to the way it was, but it will. We will be able to progress beyond these limits at some time in the future. We're going to require that attendees over age 2 to wear a mask. We're going to have to refrain from handshakes and hugs for a while, and it pains me to say that because I enjoy those so much. Because of physical distancing requirements, we're going to have to limit the number of persons who can gather in worship. We're going to have to spread out 6 feet from one another. However, members of the same household can sit together, but we ask that you sit 6 feet apart from members of other households. And we already have some chairs arranged in little clusters in the fellowship hall as a guide, a flexible guide for the seating arrangement. We're going to provide hand sanitizer at the entry doors. We're going to ask that people enter the facility through the main front doors, but then exit through the side doors of the fellowship hall. We're going to ask those who arrive first to fill in the front chairs and then fill in toward the back as additional people arrive. After worship, we'll dismiss row by row, beginning from the back towards the front to maintain physical distancing. We're not going to offer in-person Sunday school classes or Bible studies for a while because of the small rooms and people being closed up in close proximity together. However, committees or groups or classes can meet in person if the members spread out 6 feet apart from one another in a large room, such as our fellowship hall. So if your committee or class or group would like to schedule a time to get together in the fellowship hall, you can certainly do so and schedule that through the church office. However, following any meetings that we have, attendees will need to follow the cleaning and disinfecting instructions that we will provide. Parents, we're going to ask you to accompany your children at all times, including visits to the restroom and to the water fountain, and while coming and going from the facility. And this is to help us maintain physical distancing, as our little ones aren't quite as aware of that as the grown folks are. At this time, it pains me to say that the playground is closed, but we will open it up as soon as we feel it's safe to do so. I need to say a word about singing. Our conference has passed down some information about singing that's hard to hear, but I think it's good advice and counsel. There's ample evidence that singing near others poses a greater risk of spreading the virus. As you know, when we sing, we expel tiny droplets that can contain and spread the virus, and if we're singing close to one another, then that highly increases our chances of spreading the virus or other germs to one another. So medical and health experts are strongly recommended against singing indoors for now. The recommended distance between people who sing is 16 feet to limit the spread of the virus. So for the next few weeks or months, we'll have soloists and small ensembles of people lead the music during the worship services, and we're going to ask that the congregation refrain from singing for the time being. I know music is a big part of worship, and it's going to be hard to get used to that. But again, hopefully these measures are temporary, and we'll be able to relax some of them over time. We're going to ask groups of volunteers as well as our staff to help us clean and disinfect surfaces after each worship service. And we're going to provide those cleaning and disinfecting instructions. We're not going to be passing the offering plate for a while, but we'll place offering baskets near the exit doors so that people can place their offering as they leave the facilities. And of course, we're going to continue receiving offering through the mail and through our online service called Tithely now that's up and running. We're thankful for that, as well as through your bank's online bill pay service. You can do that from your own bank. We thank you so much for your patience and your understanding as we've moved forward with caution during these times. Please remember, the Lord is with us. Let us remember God's mission for us to make disciples of Jesus Christ. And at Pleasant Hill, we've committed to doing that through reaching out to others with the love and the good news of Christ, by growing through worshiping and studying together, and by seeking to serve God and our neighbors in all that we do. Let's be God's faithful people. Let's keep our eyes on Him, and let's love the people God has put into our lives. And remember, most of all, the Lord is with us. God bless you all.